channel. The truth fears no questions.
Hello and welcome to a new edition of the Daily Scope, your guide to what's headlining newspapers in the world today. I'm your host Kareem Abdus-Samad, and with me in the studio is none other than the head of business department at AUCE, Dr. Ghassan Abdul Qadir. Dr. Abdul Qadir, it's a pleasure to have you on the show again, sir.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you.
Well, now, viewers, let's start our tour with what's headlining newspapers in the Middle East. Starting off with the Kuwait Times, Saudi Intel chief replaced, Riyadh tightens curb on dissent. And from Saudi Arabia's Arab News, Al-Idrisi is acting intelligence chief. Moving from there to Syria, and we see from the Syria Times, 13th and 14th consignments of chemicals delivered to Latakia, raising overall total of removals to 65%. Still around Syria, we see Oman's Tribune. Syria troops pound Homs. Rebels get US-made TOW anti-tank missiles from Western source. And from there to Turkey, we have the Iraq Sun. Iraq's most infamous prison is closed. And last but not least, from the Middle East region, from Bahrain, we have Gulf Daily News. US let down Bahrain. The US has not done enough to support Bahrain since the 2011 unrest, former US diplomat says. Okay, so starting off in Saudi Arabia, we see that the chief of intelligence, Bandar bin Sultan, has, upon his request, left this position, and we see that Al-Idrisi is now currently the acting intelligence chief. So first off, can you tell us, now there are speculations that say it's because of his health conditions that Bandar bin Sultan actually left this position. What do you say about this? Why do you think he actually left?
Actually, I think that Prince Bandar bin Sultan has been suffering for the last 6 months, and he's been recovering in Morocco. However, I don't adopt this theory about under his request, because it's not really valid in Saudi Arabia. I think Prince Bandar was known as the architect of the Saudi policy in Syria, and he's now out of the intelligence because he had faced many failures. Okay, one of the failure was that he didn't manage to overthrow President Bashar Assad by supporting rebels. Plus, he tried many times to convince Russian President Vladimir Putin, okay, to leave his allies in Syria, and this was the second failure. Plus, he didn't manage to make more ties with Qatar regarding the future alliances in the Gulf states, and therefore I think his role now, okay, is at its end, especially after 25 years as ambassador of the King of Saudi Arabia in the United States.
Okay, something that's very, very important. We've heard about this for a while, actually, that there is a possibility that Prince Bandar bin Sultan might step down from his position. Whether it is upon his request or not is irrelevant here. But why choose to announce this right now? Why did they do it right now and not before?
Okay, I think this is a kind of message. Okay, stepping down from his post is not a new thing. A lot of reports, okay, were discussing this matter before, but the replacement, okay, the one who now at the head of the intelligence agency in Saudi Arabia is really significant. Now
I'd like to actually discuss him, but I'd like to actually talk about him in a little bit.
is really significant. Yes, go on,
I would like to discuss this. I'd like to discuss this
Okay,
in a
a
little
separate
bit. I
topic.
have a small question before I actually lead into the El Idrisi's agenda
Appointment,
and stuff. There are speculations that say that President Obama visited Saudi Arabia very recently. Now, is there any relation between the visit of President Barack Obama to Saudi Arabia and this incident where Prince Bandar bin Sultan was relieved? Let's say relieved from his position, because as you mentioned earlier, that
Prince Bandar bin Sultan, okay, was known as the hawk of the Saudi house.
Okay.
Therefore, such kind of policy, especially regarding Iran, regarding Syria, regarding even Iraq, okay, and maybe in relation with other countries in the area, okay, will cause a lot of problems for President Obama's foreign policy. Okay, so President Obama really wants to kind of settle a lot of conflicts in the region, especially the conflict or disputes with Iran. Okay, the crisis in Syria. Okay, and he doesn't want someone like Bandar bin Sultan, who is supplying rebels with weapons. Okay, who is supporting people trying to make some kind of riots in Iraq or Iran. Okay, he just want to find an end for the Palestinian-Israeli conflict after 60 years of war and struggle, and therefore, okay, President Obama wants to get rid of people who can disturb his policy in the region.
Yet on the other hand, we see that Prince Bandar bin Sultan is actually very, very close to the U.S. government. So why would they want to get rid of
not
him?
really. He's close to the Republicans, not to the Democrats, and he's close more to Bush house, not to Obama. I think there is a new shift in the foreign American policy since President Obama tried to adopt this détente policy regarding Iran and to solve the nuclear problem in a peaceful way. And therefore, I think even Obama told the press that people who find, and he means here Saudi Arabia, especially Saudi Arabia, that people who fear this new relations between Iran and the United States must change their attitudes and their way of thinking to adapt themselves to the new coming period. Okay, and therefore this new coming period, according to Obama, does not require people like Mr. Bandar bin Sultan.
Okay, now let's talk about the acting intelligence chief, El Idrisi. Off air, we were about to discuss about him. You told me that you had a few notes about him, some information about him. So what do we know about El Idrisi?
In fact, there are no real information about himself as General Idrisi, but he's now the first intelligence system after 4 consecutive princes. We're talking about Prince Turki Faisal, we're talking about Prince Mugren, and now we are talking about Prince Bandar, and now we have General Idrisi. General Idrisi, by the way, he's from Egyptian origins.
Okay.
His grandfather came to Saudi Arabia like 100 years ago, and he was an assistant for King Abdulaziz, and the whole family, okay, was related to Saudi family, and as well he received many promotions during the two last years. I mean, General Idrisi, but we don't know really about his coming agenda and if he is going to go through the steps or on the steps of Prince Bandar.
Well, in your opinion, do you think that he will be following in Prince Bandar bin Sultan's?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think he's gonna apply only the agenda of the king, because in many places Prince Bandar didn't have a smooth relations with King Abdullah, and he was trying to have his own agenda, not the traditional conservatives and maybe neutral Saudi agenda regarding many issues in the region.
Well, there's something over here. If we go to Kuwait Times, we see that Riyadh tightens curbs on dissent. Part of this small headline basically states that anybody who is, let's say, not with the laws of Saudi Arabia, let's say, who is, for example,
well, what do you mean not with the laws?
Well, not with the current laws, as in he's an atheist, or he does he does not approve and accept the current laws of Saudi Arabia. But we're talking about foreign policies and stuff. All right, is to be named a terrorist. So now this is definitely the work of intelligence over here. This is not the work of another department in the country. So.
Therefore, I had to say that this trend, okay, against Bandar bin Sultan has started 4 weeks ago when King Abdullah issued this statement, okay, mentioning and classifying Jabhat Nusra and many other terrorist groups as terrorists, and everyone who support these organizations, not only who fight with these organizations, who support, and I mean here financially support these groups. Okay, yes, okay. So he will be considered as terrorist, and he may receive many years in prison.
So why don't they just execute themselves as well?
And therefore, stepping down Mr. Bandar bin Sultan from his position is a kind of punishment, and maybe it's a step down for all support to organizational groups.
Sorry, but don't you think that if Prince Bandar bin Sultan would say something like this, that basically we are supporting Jabhat al-Nusra, we're supporting
He never said that. He never said that.
Well, he does imply it in what he does.
Yeah,
he does imply it in what he does.
So
that basically means
the reports
Saudi Arabia
are foreign reports. Okay, are foreign reports. It's well known, but there are no proofs.
Let's look at the way of thinking that Jabhat al-Nusra and Daesh are thinking, and let's look at the Wahhabi or Salafist movement, or the Wahhabi and Salafist let's say way of thought. Okay, we will find that they are both very, very, very well intertwined, and they're very, very similar. So that basically means
let me explain one idea. Yes, let me explain one idea. The kingdom of Saudi Arabia, was established based on the alliance of the sword of Saudi house, and the doctrine of Wahhabi, of Muhammad Abdul Wahhab. Okay, fine. And however, when these Salafists or these jihadists try to write down or to implement their own agenda, the sword of Saudi house will oppress them. And this is the rule, and this has been the rule for the last 100 years. And you think this is what's happening on the ground in Syria? Yes, and not even in Syria, even what happened in the late 70s and the beginning of the 80s,
let's not talk about
and even what happened, with Osama bin Laden. If you are trying as Salafists to overthrow the king or not to obey his orders, the king will oppress you. This is the simple rule, of the Saudi Arabia.
Okay, this is in
Even if you are Salafist and Wahhabist.
This is within Saudi Arabia. Now over here we're not talking about within Saudi Arabia. Over here we're talking
and
about Syria.
Bandar bin Sultan was trying to use these jihadis, Salafist jihadis, okay, in Saudi Arabia and in Syria, okay, because he was trying to get rid of them, okay, after they had a lot of fight in Afghanistan, and then they would try to move to Saudi Arabia, and then they tried to fight in Iraq, and now, okay, he managed to gather them in Syria. Okay. However, okay, the Saudi house, and I mean the government, I mean the state, I mean the political entity, okay, is trying to preserve itself, because these Salafi jihadists now are the direct threat to their rule, okay, as Mr. Osama bin Laden did in the beginning of the 1990s.
Well, anyway, this is a bigger subject. I'd love to actually get into it.
It's related subject.
I'd love to actually get into it, but I'd like to also discuss a few other things. Let's move to Syria right now. We see that 13th, 14th consignments of chemicals delivered to Latakia, raising overall total removals to 65.1%, where 57.4% is priority 1 chemicals over here. Now, with Syria getting rid of the chemical arsenal found in Syria, why is Saudi Arabia always so adamant to always condemn them over using the chemical weapons against their own people? Because from the Arab news as well, from Saudi Arabia's Arab news, there is an article that is basically
not
condemning.
only one article, yes.
There has been many articles, but I'm talking about today's headlines, today's newspapers. We see Arab News says it has a specific article that basically condemns Syria of using chemical weapons.
Okay.
With Syria complying with the United Nations regarding the removal of the chemical arsenal that is available in Syria, why are Saudi Arabia still condemning them and still pointing the finger and still...
First of all, let me clarify one thing, that accepting, okay, the removal of the chemical weapons by Syria and by Iran and Russia at the same time, okay, was a really masterpiece movement, okay, because in this diplomatic way, okay, they have removed one important weapon that can be used by the West, by the Gulf states, okay, to overthrow Bashar Assad.
Okay.
And now, okay, Syria is gaining more time, okay, by fulfilling, okay, the international requirements. Now almost 2/3 of the chemical weapons, okay, are out of Syria. Okay. Now, okay, they are at least they are appearing as if they are obeying, okay, the international decisions, okay, and therefore no one can blame them. Now, okay, even there are many reports, okay, and there are a lot of doubts that Turkey and maybe rebels themselves, okay, are involved in chemical attacks. Okay, not only around Damascus, but around Halab and Aleppo and Homs and many other areas. And therefore, I think the chemical weapons are not anymore a valid excuse to hit Syria with any Western forces.
Okay, since you mentioned the missiles that are coming from a Western source, we see Oman Tribune's small print says rebels get US-made TOW anti-tank missiles from Western source. Now, terrorist groups in Syria are getting weapons from a Western source that has been hidden. We don't know, or like they haven't specified anything to fight the Syrian army. Now, there are also speculations that say that those missiles came in from Turkey, okay, which is part of an old Libyan arsenal. Now, what's your take behind this, and what, if it is true, what is the reasoning behind it?
Okay.
What does Libya have to do with it?
Till now, there is no clear information about the sources of these missiles. Okay, TOW missiles are really effective in armor-piercing wars. Okay, however, I think what has been really revealed about is the presence of around 20 missiles.
Yes.
These missiles, if they are only 20, do not represent a real threat to the Arab Syrian army. It's a kind more of a message. But there are now plans, okay, by the Pentagon to train more rebels, to provide them with small arms to defend themselves. Okay. However, the so-called Free Syrian Army, okay, has many objections. The main was the non-deliverance of surface-air missile. These surface-air missiles can protect them from the attacks of the Syrian aircrafts.
Yes.
And therefore, we can say that we don't have a real American engagement in the Syrian conflict till this moment, because since 3 years they were providing rebels at the first level with some training, then with some recons information and reconnaissance and some picture from American satellites, okay, then they started to provide them with non-lethal aids and helps, okay. Then now, okay, they are planning to provide them, okay, with some weapons, and these, okay, new TOW missiles. Okay, I cannot say that there is an American engagement till these people will receive a surface air missile, as the American did with the Afghani rebels in the 1980s against the Soviet army. Okay, because the next level after that, okay, will be a direct involvement from the part of the United States.
Okay, well, viewers, we'll be back right after this short break.
Depth, clarity, substance. Beyond the discourse.
Beyond politics, beyond the shallowness of everyday politics.
In the world of business, numbers tell truth. Investors seek startups and bankers provide loans. Stocks rise and fall. Traders anticipate shipments and cargo ships unload. But we at Al Ittijah News spin the globe to bring you your weekly dose of business news.
Viewers, welcome back. And before the break, we were in the Middle East, and here we are traveling to the Israeli Entity. Starting off with the Jerusalem Post, talks set for today, even as Prime Minister blames Palestinian Authority for incitement for Passover murder. And from the Yedot Ahranot, U.S. peace talks will resume. And last but not least, from the Israeli Entities region, we have the Haaretz. Rabbi Lau turns against the other. The chief rabbi is right about the need to change the law of return, but the proposals he shared with Haaretz smack of xenophobia. So over here, I'd like to actually discuss the peace talks. We see the U.S. says that peace talks will resume, and the Jerusalem Post says that talks are set for today, even as Prime Minister blames the Palestinian Authority for incitement for Passover murder. Now, let's play the devil's advocate for a second, and let's say that the Passover was actually a murder. All right. Mm-hmm. In comparison to what the Israeli Entity has done with the Palestinians, do they even have the right to even think about opening their mouths?
Okay, yes, we can start with Kerry, who was talking for the the hearing committee of foreign relations, and he was really clear when he said that the peace talks stopped because Israel insisted on building a few hundreds of settlements in Cisjordania, and they want to expand the settlements that already existed there on occupied land, and these occupied land are classified as occupied land by the international law since 1967.
Yes.
Okay. And this is a great breakthrough, because for the first time, an American, maybe a Secretary of State, is blaming Israel, for this. Yes, and this is very important, and I think this is part of the Barack Obama's foreign policy about a change. Change. The slogan of Obama was not only for the United States regarding its local affairs, but also regarding its foreign affairs as well. Obama is making a lot of efforts and is investing a lot of energy and maybe of financial capitals as well in supporting the peaceful process between Israel and Palestinians.
In all honesty, I think that he is just basically supporting and financing the Israeli entity in what they're doing anyway, due to lack of time.
No, but I think a lot of aids are channeled to Palestinian in Gaza and in Tulkarm and in Ramallah,
which is a small percentage of what they're actually supporting Israel. Anyway, now let's travel to Europe and see what we have there for today.
Fine.
Starting off with the UK's The Daily Telegraph. Ukraine sends in the tanks. Germany's Deutsche Welle says, Putin warns Merkel of civil war in Ukraine. And from there to Greece, we have the Ikathimerini. EP polls about stability, says Prime Minister. Samaras presents new democracy candidates, argues vote for Syriza on May 25 would risk Greek recovery. So over here in Europe, we see that Ukraine is on the brink of civil war. We see that Ukraine sends in the tanks to eastern Ukraine, and Putin also warns Merkel of a civil war in Ukraine. Now, first off, do you foresee a war happening in Ukraine?
I don't think so. I think it's only a show of force from the part of Moscow. Moscow is really disappointed about what happened in Ukraine in the last month, and although they have managed to make some gains in Crimea, however, they want to make more pressure on Kiev, and I think that Putin feel like he was blamed for what happened, and a lot of Russian now under the rules of Kiev that does not support Vladimir Putin. I don't think there is a war that's gonna erupt in the region because a lot of international conventions now signed between Ukraine and Europe and the States as well. These international conventions state that West must protect Ukraine against any aggression from the outside, and the price was the nuclear weapons that Ukraine has to forego like 10 years ago.
We know that tomorrow is the specified date or the set date for the talks, the peace talks that will happen in Geneva as well regarding the Russian-Ukraine rift. So why at this specific time did the Ukrainians decide to flex their muscle, in your opinion?
Well, it's a kind of pressure because they want to gain a powerful or an upper hand in these negotiations. Okay, I think Germany will play a good role of mediation. Okay, through the investments, through its financial weight, and through its interest as well, and Europe in general. Okay, will mediate in finalizing this conflict. I think that this conflict, okay, is a mirror of many centuries of tension between these nations. I mean Russians, Ukrainians, Crimeans, and many other people who were under the rule of the Soviet Union.
Okay, from there, let's travel to Greece, and we see that Samaras presents new democracy candidates, and argues vote for Syriza on May 25 would risk Greek recovery. Now, do you think by this happening that the Greek recovery the economic Greek situation would deteriorate, or would this actually be a good move for Greece?
Well, the deterioration is not an option in Greece. Okay, I think they have to adopt some painful policies. Okay, they have to tighten their spending more and more. Okay, people will suffer. Okay, but there will not be a deterioration of the situation. Okay, the European Union will not allow this deterioration to happen. Okay, however, we have to adopt a new concept, a new regime. Okay, that take into consideration the social needs of the society. Okay, without hindering the economic needs as well.
Okay, well, from there, let's travel to Asia and see what news we have for there today. Back to the Malaysian airline issue, we see Malaysia News Straits Times says, MH370 mini sub on second mission. From there to the Pakistan Observer, President for deepening trade ties with South Korea. Pakistan has opportunities in diverse fields. And from there to China, we have Shanghai Daily. National security tops Xi's agenda. President says country faces most complicated internal and external factors in history. First off, I'd like to discuss the Pakistan Observer, the president for deepening ties with South Korea. Now, why South Korea, and what are those opportunities that they have in diverse fields?
Okay, the relations between the two countries passed through a kind of speculations. Okay, since the establishment of Pakistan in the late 40s. Okay, and I think with the existence of North Korea, the atmosphere of the Cold War, okay, the need to have from Pakistan side to have an alliance such as China. Okay, this has prevented a lot of rapprochements between Pakistan and South Korea. But now I think, and even China is making a lot of trades. Okay, with South Korea. I think this was a good signal. Okay, for Pakistan to benefit from the existence of such an economic giant as South Korea. I think also there will be kind of maybe cooperation regarding weapons and also technological development. Maybe it can reach the nuclear level.
And who, in your opinion, is the most beneficiary within those trade ties? Who do you think is going to benefit the most?
I think that Pakistan will get benefit more than South Korea. I think it will get a newer technology from the South Korean. I think this will open some new market for their products, especially that the consumption power power of South Korean, okay, is increasing over time, and it's a good market for any country now.
Okay, well, from there, let's travel to our last region for today, the United States of America, and see what news we have there today. Starting off with the Baltimore Sun, Hogan posts strong lead over GOP rival in funds. Washington Examiner, Donald Trump looks to be an active donor in 2014 midterms. And our last headline for today comes from the New York Times. New York drops unit that spied among Muslims. City backs away from controversial tactics of surveillance. So now, over here in the United States, we are back to discussing the issue of campaign funding. A while back, there were clashes within the Congress and the state and the Senate, the state Senate, regarding putting a limit to the fundings. Over here now, we see the Baltimore Sun says Hogan posts strong lead over GOP rival in funds, and Donald Trump, which is someone who we usually don't see much
Yes.
on the political scene, now looks to be an active donor in 2014 midterms. How do you think this would alter or how would this affect or impact the campaigns in the United States?
Definitely, the coming period for the United States, okay, will witness a lot of critical, okay, economic and mostly strategic economic decisions, okay, to formulate a economic system, okay, that can prevent a crisis, okay, such the one that started in 2007. Therefore, I think there are a lot of billionaires, okay, a lot of rich men who are not engaged directly in politics, but they have a lot of interest to influence the political decisions in the coming period, and therefore, okay, we're gonna have a lot of these people who will be really generous, okay, in paying a lot of money for the candidates in the coming period in order to maybe to protect their interest and their wealth as well.
So that basically will not really solve the financial issue in the United States. If anything, it would either increase it due to the fact that those people
let me
want
go
their money to be
go
for
into
themselves?
details. I think maybe some more taxes will be imposed, okay, on people, and progressive taxes on people who are earning, okay, more money, and these people, okay, want to make sure that they can still, okay, put put their money in the United States, or maybe they can have the American citizenship as well, okay, because this will be a direct threat to their investments there. Therefore, I think there will be good contributors, okay, in the coming elections. We're gonna see some people who are providing not only the presidential candidates but also the congressmen, okay, with a lot of support in order to pass some
Yes.
laws and legislations that can be to some extent merciful, if you want to say, regarding these wealthy people.
Okay, and what about the candidates who actually don't have the backing of those multi-million or multi-billion corporations? What's the fate of them? What's going to happen to those people?
Therefore, we have here to discuss the concept of democracy. What kind of democracy are we talking about here? Are we talking about the democracy that the elected people are presenting the people, the whole people and they are working for the people, or we are talking about the elected people who presents only the powerful people and the wealthy people in the society. Okay, I think that transparency, more control over the electoral spending, okay, will be effective in this case, and we have maybe to decrease a little bit the ceiling of spending, okay, in order to get a real democratic elections.
Do you really think that we're going to be seeing a real democratic elections in the United States?
It's a kind of process. We need to work not only on the United States, but it's everywhere. Okay, people must work and must pressure. Okay, to get and to reach this point, and to make even the pace, even if the pace is maybe slow, and but the advancement must continue.
Okay, well, head of the business department at AUCE, Dr. Ghassan Abdel Qadir, it was a pleasure to have you again on the show.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for being with us today. Well, viewers, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for watching. This is your host, Kareem Abdel Samad, signing out.
The early denizens of Cappadocia built their settlements on the hardened lava, spewed forth from the Erisies and Hassan volcanic eruptions. The remains of the settlements can still be seen today even after being exposed to the environment for thousands of years. It is said that when Prophet Jesus was born, Cappadocia was still under the rule of the Roman Empire.